Hello, and welcome to another episode of CRT Sound System. We've got episode 82, and we're here to talk about Nier Automata. I'm here with Reese as always. Reese, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
I was just
Sorry
say, have
about
we lost you?
that. No. I'm right here. So is that the correct pronunciation? Because I pronounced it maybe 7 different ways today.
I vacillate between whichever one is
Yeah.
is I'm feeling at the time. Automata, I don't know, like yeah.
Uh,
It's
I've started saying it like they would pronounce things in the Oh Hello Netflix special, like near Automata. So I think I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, yeah. If you want to, I think we can all go with our own special pronunciations, I suppose. We've got two guests this week. So first guest is Illi. Illi, hello. Welcome to the pod.
Hello, thank you for having me. I personally subscribe to the automata pronunciation for some reason. No reason, like no
That's
background for it. It's just how I do it.
Fair
yeah.
enough. And we've also got Boin. Boin, how do you pronounce it?
Hello, I am not actually sure myself, despite it being a real thing. Automata. I do automata, but it's a real thing that has a real pronunciation, so I feel like it's, cellular. No, I can't do it. Automata. But, it's stylistic, so who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. Well,
Like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments how you pronounce
sound off in
near
the
automato.
comments. Um, but yeah, no. We this is one that people have sort of come to me several times in the past about. But Illy was one of the first people to be like, "Why haven't you done it?" And then I was like, "Well, I haven't done it because nobody's asked me to." So you, my rule is, if you ask me to do an episode, you come on the episode. So here we are. What is it about near specific or near automata, near automata, however you want to go with it? What about this game sort of appealed to you initially as an episode, Illy?
Well, I mean, it's just the music is just it's magical.
Mm,
There is a certain vibe to it that's unique to me. Like it draws you in. It creates a world, and that's
mm.
why I'm like this has to be discussed because
It's incredibly unique. There's very little that sounds like this. Even stuff by the same composer, like it just doesn't have the same vibes. It doesn't have just that sort of yeah. It's hard to describe because the game itself is very hard to describe. I think, and it's hard to sort of talk about in abstract terms. Like there's so many like fun like different ideas going on in the game in terms of like philosophical ideas and just sort of like ideas about how games should be and things like that. And I think the music sort of reflects that in a major way as well, where like stuff like there's a lot of stuff that's sort of discordant in the music and just sort of doesn't sound quite right, but then it sort of has this cohesiveness then once it actually comes together that is incredibly beautiful. And even stuff like the vocal tracks, like the first one we heard there, like the language in it is completely made up. There's no corresponding like real world languages or anything that people are using in it. So it's like it just adds to this sort of weird otherworldliness to the whole series and specifically to this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I find like I'm not slighting the game or gameplay or visuals at all, but it is a little bit of a wasteland. The
Mm,
gameplay is there's a bit of kind of like sinking into it, and when you do play it, it's uh I don't want to say it's rote, but the gameplay is a lot more approachable than I think all the other elements. And I
mm,
think that the music really animates the game for me and connects all of these parts. and just makes it just a fully realized world that I can just inhabit, and you don't understand it, but the music gives it a sense of identity that, you're just like, I don't know what it is, but I can connect to this on my own way.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Wasteland, because the game I wanted to compare this to, post-apocalyptic, it would be Fallout, and its music is just music, standards from the 50s. And then, in this one, they think of what the music might be in the future, including its language, and bring you something kind of new, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, 10,000%. Like, so much of the world is inhabited by these robots that are being born into sentience, and there's a lot of, childlike wonder and horror that they have to deal with. And I feel like these are the songs of the robots, of the world, and sort of like it's not just like an orchestral track that you lay over. It embodies it in a way that something like Paradise Killer does, and just like elevates it to this crazy place.
Yeah, and some of it also, like, it comes from the lore directly. Like in the first game, there are songs in it that are where the lyrics are actually real lyrics, and they tie into the story, and then that gets transported into the sequel. So it's kind of like it's all part of the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sort of, yeah, there's a cohesiveness to it, as I mentioned, that is hard to quantify. As you mentioned the first game in this, and obviously this is part of a larger series, but what's your sort of experience with this game? Did you play it when it came out, or was it something you came to later, or?
Well, I was a bit a later convert to this game. I think I started playing it during the pandemic.
Oh,
I had
okay.
a lot of time on my hands. I was like, let's try this game that everyone is raving about. And then I got hit with the ending if you die during the tutorial, kind of before you get the save. So I'm rolling credits, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's gonna be one of those. And I stopped playing.
Oh
And then
shit.
when the remake came out, I played that, finished that first, like
Oh,
the
okay.
remake of the first game, and then I went back and finished
Interesting.
Automata and had a great time with it.
Yeah, yeah, that intro is interesting, like, because it is so long. Like, it's fully like half an hour before you can save, and there's some tricky parts, especially if you're not like, because it starts off as like as a bullet hell shooter essentially, and it's more or less on rails. But like, if you do mess it up, and I have done that once or twice, like it is quite a setback, but it does give you an ending, and it's one of the interesting things about the game is how it sort of handles its endings as both like narratively and just sort of as gameplay elements is quite interesting. I didn't actually play this myself. I think, yeah, it was probably the 2021. But weirdly, when the demo came out, I played it and I was like, this is going to be the best game ever. And by the time it came out, it came out at a weird time where I wasn't able to play any games for some reason. And a lot of times when I skip a game at launch, I just never get back to playing it until it gets super cheap, and then I picked it up for cheap at some point and ended up playing through it. Just the first two endings, I've never seen the proper ending of the game actually. Yeah, I guess I'm going to get some of that spoiled for me later, but this is definitely a game that is going to be spoiler talk in this one. So definitely warning you in advance for that.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, Boin, you have played it very recently. Can you share your experiences getting into the game?
Yeah, I actually bought it bought the PC port around when it came out, maybe 2018. It did not play very well on my machine. Part of that was a power issue on my end. Part of that was I heard the PC port was not very good. And then I got a new machine that, sometime in 2024. Actually, it would have been 2025, and I got hooked. And, went all the way through A to Z. If you don't know, the endings are all lettered A through Z. So I got hooked. Nearly 100%ed it all.
Oh, wow.
Actually, there's the one secret ending I have not done yet.
Okay. The endings are sort of an interesting thing because it's part of the series sort of identity, even from way back. Like I remember playing the first Dragon Guard game, and it's actually the only Dragon Guard I've played to this day. But I just remember a lot of discussion online about all the different endings because some of those endings were absolutely not so. And the canon ending is possibly the weirdest ending, or at least the canon ending as far as Nier is concerned, because it takes place in Tokyo in like 2003 or something like that, and a bunch of weird shit happens. I forget the exact thing, but it is interesting that like it's one of those things that's carried through the whole series, that they all have different endings. Some of them are sort of like little jokey endings. Some of them are more important to the story, but it is interesting that like pretty much all of them require several playthroughs to see the entire story of them.
Well, the thing about the playthroughs is it's kind of, for Nier Automata, it's almost a bit oversold. Like you don't really have to repeat that much stuff.
No.
It's not as punishing as it seems.
No, and it is different each time as well. Like you're not just repeating the exact same stuff. You're not having to do all the side quests again because that would just be silly.
The first game forces you to do some stuff multiple times. That's a little bit more annoying, but it's still not that bad.
Yeah.
So you said that the canon ending in the first game that they chose to move on with was sort of weird. So was there like what felt like were a lot more normal endings, and then they went with the equivalent of like the Silent Hill UFO ending as the canon ending?
More or less, yeah. Like there's very few normal endings for the Dragon Guard games anyway. They're Yoko Taro is Yoko Taro, so all of his stuff is a bit weird in its own way. But yeah, the ending E, I believe, is the one that involves a bunch of giant pregnant women coming out of the sky, and they're aliens and they destroy Earth.
Okay. So that's the good ending. Okay.
That's the ending that leads to Nier somehow.
It's basically it's the apocalypse that you then.
Yeah. But then like Nier itself takes place thousands of years after that. Like there's there's a direct timeline, but there's no actual sort of like links really. I think there's a couple of like weapon and item descriptions that are showing up in both games. I think you can get like the weapon that belongs to the main character of the first game and things like that in Nier. But there's no like direct connections. There's no like really strong plot beats that you sort of need to know to get on with it.
Yeah, I think there's one sequence, one of those Yoko Taro sequences where it's like you spend 15 minutes reading, where it kind of references the original Dragon Guard, but it's.
Yeah, and I think that like Dragon Guard 2 is more or less just completely unrelated, because I don't think he had anything to do with that one. So it's like Dragon Guard and Dragon Guard 3 and then the Nier games. But yeah, the music then is all done by Monaka Studios, who like do a bunch of stuff, but the main guy for those is Keiichi Okabe, and he's sort of like the primary composer on a lot of these. And again, like a very idiosyncratic sound, lots of interesting instrument choices. a lot of sort of very discordant things going on. It's really really very interesting music overall through both of the Nier games. So
Yeah,
what
it
I
seems
oh, go on.
like he's kind of Yoko Taro's guy for almost everything that he does. Like I was playing Voice of Cards, which is like a
Oh
very
yeah, I forgot about that.
which is I don't want to say it's a standard RPG, but it's sort of like it's doing a lot of the standard things, but it has a lot of like very bespoke music and art, and it's all done. Everything's a card. It's not even really a card game, but it's just like you're just like you Americans fucking love cards, don't you? Well, we're gonna put everything on a card. Your attack motion is a card. All the story is a card. But yeah, I've been going through that, and that's a nice little.
Interesting.
That's something I would recommend for people if they want more Yoko Taro, and they're willing to sort of like engage with this sort of more budget side title.
I've completely forgotten about that. Is that a mobile game, wasn't it, or is that
I'm
playable?
I'm sure it's it showed up on mobile. It's on Steam though.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, like I think he's done most of the Yoko Taro games, but he's also done a bunch of other stuff. He started off in Namco and did a bunch of Tekken games and Ridge Racer stuff. So like he's been around for quite a while, since the mid-90s. But yeah, we'll jump into the first block of tracks in this case. In any case, composed by Keiichi Okabe, I have Birth of a Wish, then Voice of No Return guitar, then composed by Keigo Hoashi, I have Crumbling Lies Front, and yeah, just those three to start off with. One thing that I just remembered, and it's completely unrelated to the music, but it's just as we were talking about like the different endings and stuff before, I completely accidentally found the ending where you take out your OS chip because I was just fucking around in a menu and I was just like, oh, you can take this out. What happens if you do this? And then you do it and the game ends. And it's so like, it's such a funny, and I was like, oh, this is like 6 hours into my first playthrough. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that to me. And just out of stubbornness, I didn't reload my save. I was like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to go on with it and just start from scratch. But I just, and there's another one as well where like somebody gives you a fish, and they're like, don't eat this, or eat this fish, I want to see what happens. It'll probably kill you. And then it does kill you, and that gives you one of your ratings as well. And yeah, it's just, it's such a fun sort of like, the sense of sort of playfulness in this game, despite some of the tone being quite serious and quite melancholy a lot of the time. But like there is such a sense of humor to this game that I find really, really fun as well.
Yeah, I wasn't high enough level for a boss, so I ran away to try to level up, and it's like, oh, you abandoned your mission. You're vibing on a beach somewhere. It's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
I had to restart the whole game. Like I couldn't get past that. I had to restart the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's the game sort of trolls you a bit sometimes, but at the same time, it's so playful about it. I think that it's hard to be mad. Say, yeah.
It's really it's the Yoko Taro guarantee. It's gonna be silly. It's gonna be funny.
Yeah. And we were talking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It sounds like everybody has kind of like a rubber hits the road point with Nier, where you're just like, okay, I guess I'm sticking with this, despite it just kicking me right in the nuts right now. And I feel like a couple of people I've heard from is like, oh, have you played Nier Automata? And they're just like, no, it kicked me in the nuts and I put it down. And you're just like, oh, fair enough, I guess, you know.
Yeah, you can't blame anyone for that. Yeah,
it's incredible, but it will kick you in the nuts. That's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's absolutely gonna happen.
It was a thing when it came out. I do remember there was some stuff about journalists not playing past ending A because they were like, well, I kind of finished the game and they missed out on most of the game.
I remember that being a bit of a mini controversy. Yeah. Yeah, and it like you wouldn't blame anyone because why would you expect that there should be more to a game after you've gotten the ending? But yeah, no, and like I do not like the 9S playthrough. Like I don't like his play style as much as 2B's, but yeah, it's I think once you get to the third playthrough, then it's a lot better. I never actually finished that, as I mentioned. So, like, if anyone has any insight onto that third playthrough, I would appreciate it.
Well, it kind of adds another game to the game. It's like it's really a full on continuation. It's like the sequel is baked into the game.
Yeah, it's like it's nearly as long as both playthroughs combined, isn't it?
Yeah,
like the
especially
two,
if you go for like up to ending E, you're gonna be playing for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such an interesting game, such an interesting series. The way they always play with that kind of stuff. We talked a bit during the break as well about the sort of like the made up language that they sort of use for all of these songs, and they sort of draw from a bunch of different languages like French and German and Celtic languages and stuff like that. So yeah, oftentimes I would be listening to this at work. And sort of I'd be tuned out, but listening to the soundtrack in the background, and like you just hear like a little phrase or a little sort of something that sounds like a language you recognize but isn't, and it always just sort of pulled me out of my work for a second to just be like, what the hell? And yeah, it's just a really really interesting way to approach music as world building.
Yeah,
because one thing. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
There's a aspect to it also where like I remember English lyrics to it that like now we re-listen to stuff and I'm like that doesn't sound anything like what they're saying even. It's just like my brain was like shook in such a way. It's just like, oh, they don't repeat the phrase. It doesn't even sound close to sounding like they repeat the phrase beautiful, lovely over and over. I just my brain translated it somehow. And I'm somebody that has a bit of like lyrics blindness in songs a lot of time.
Mm.
Unless it's like to the level of every rose has its thorn, I can sometimes have a little bit of trouble understanding what the song is actually supposed to be about. And you know, who
Mm.
cares? I just vibe with it.
Yeah.
But like this kind of like plays in with the same way where it's like so much many things like so many songs I listen to where I'm like if I don't look the lyrics up, it's sort of like I get to just make up what the song is about, and it's just like wonderful. But yeah, it's incredible, and sort of like you, I got the understanding that Keiichi Okabe and Yoko Taro like collaborate on the sound of the game like very early on in the process. So he's not just kind of coming in the last third
Mm.
Spyro style and just like coming up with some stuff. It's sort of like it's part of the world building and you can tell a million times over.
Mm. And I will say to that, like, massive, like, props to the singer Emmy Evans who wrote the lyrics, or like such as they are. But like she would deliberately sort of try to make these lyrics sort of evoke stuff, but not actually have any like specific meaning. So like it must be so hard to just go in and sort of like try and make these sounds that sort of sound like actual words and sound phonetically like languages, but and still can evoke the feelings of those words without actually having any inherent meaning in and of themselves. And like that's such a like that's such a fine needle to thread, and they really managed to do it.
One of the songs coming up is actually in Kamakuro, which is an extinct South American language. So the
Okay,
way to the worlds. So
interesting.
kind of taking not just sort of making up some words, but taking some words from languages that aren't around anymore, which kind of gives it that out of time kind of aspect.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, yeah, because I suppose in the world of Nier, like it's 11,000 years in the future, all of our languages are probably dead. So like, yeah, that's really interesting. There's something you sort of briefly touched on as well, Illy, during the break was just like the fact that these languages are sort of are simulations of our languages or sort of sound similar but aren't the same is sort of very thematic to like a lot of how the game portrays the robots as being sort of constantly sort of repeating humanity and sort of like just copying what they see and copying what they learned about humanity. And even the same with like the androids as well. It's just that like everything in this game is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And like there's no sort of there's no inherent meaning to a lot of it, and it's just sort of doing stuff because they think that's what they're supposed to do. And I think like that the language sort of it reinforces that theme quite strongly as well.
Yeah, it's like
Posted
the oh, sorry, you go.
Boin posted a Siva Gunner track that's a bit of a parody of Birth of a Wish, where they're talking about Minecraft, and I think that's like a funny end result to this. Is sort of like since it kind of means whatever you want, you can make it like silly and fun and funny, but also sort of like evokes the same feelings. That's a good pull, in my opinion.
Fair.
It's kind of like it's a meme. It's like the language itself is like a meme, and then you turn it into a meme in our world again.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so I think we'll jump into the next block because I've only got 2 tracks for this block. Just to I want to get to the Final Fantasy stuff in a little while as well. So we have first track is by Keigo Hoashi and Keiichi Okabe. It's called War and War, and then the next track is by Kuniyuki Takahashi and Keiichi Okabe. It's called Grandma Destruction. So you'll have to remind me with that grandma track actually, because that one is reused from Replicant, isn't it? Because I know you mentioned it was sort of related to Kaine,
Yes.
or however that character's name is pronounced.
Yes, there are a few tracks in here that are echoes or even full on from Replicant because they're like thematically fitting. And here it's one of those. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the grandma song where like there's also if you go deeper into the lore, you will find that there is like some stuff where they mention that I think it's 2B's personality comes from someone who really loves their grandma, and that's supposedly kind of so it's kind
Yeah.
of tied together if you read the extended universe of Nier.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, and I suppose speaking of the extended universe, it's something we did discuss prior to recording, but it is one of the things about this this game and this series is that like even like small appearances of these characters, guest appearances in other games are like they have plot significance and they are sort of all tied into different timelines. I mentioned the Soul Calibur version of 2B being a different character with different lore. And then there's like there's some lore in like the mobile game, and then like the concert series they did
Yeah,
has
the
like
actual canonical ending is in the concert series.
it is the actual ending, is it? Okay. Fair enough.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
And
I'm
then like
freaking out. I'm during the last block I was reading through some stuff about the Final Fantasy tie-in and like giving myself a complex because it's like so complicated.
Yeah, it's really funny when I saw they did another concert tour. I was like, I need to go because I need to understand the lore and where we're at in case there's gonna be another one. And
oh my
yeah,
goodness.
they tied them together those games just in that concert. It's crazy.
Do we know if that's Yoko Taro's doing? Is he like video gamers need culture? So I'm gonna put the lore in a concert. You know,
Well, he's
I believe
writing
so.
it, and they did get the voice actors to come back to voice their parts in the concert series.
Yeah, that's
that must have been
definitely a
incredible.
Yoko Taro kind of thing to do. Yeah. Yeah,
Can
because even
can
like
I get
there's. Oh, go ahead.
a bit
Yeah.
of an overview of what we're talking about with the concert series? Because I've never heard of this. I mean, if you know.
Well, they've done. I think they've done 2 rounds of like they did a concert a few years ago in like I think 2018-19, but I think that was only in Japan where they had the voice actors come back and read some stuff and add some lore to it. And then last year they went on a world tour where they did I think it's like 10 cities around the world. I went to the one in Paris, and it's music from both games. They had like the Emmy Evans was there, the singer, which was very funny because I took my girlfriend to it and she had never played the games and nothing, so it was a very interesting experience for her. And then Emmy Evans comes out and there's like this huge pop in the audience, like a star just went on stage and she's like, "What's going on here? Why are people so excited for this?" It's what we're all about here.
It's
I'm,
the
uh,
robot.
I'm looking at the pictures, and there's also a screen. So I think there's like media.
Yes, they're showing cutscenes.
Got it. And these are unique to the concert.
Yeah, I think the first one I think they put out on Blu-ray or DVD, and they'll probably do that with this one too.
Yeah, Square does love to put out Blu-rays of their live stuff. There's a lot of really good ones out there that are worth tracking down. But yeah, no. Looking at the, I remember when it was coming out. Yeah, there was some stuff on Twitter about it for sure, and people just losing their minds. Yeah, I can't imagine going to a Nier Orchestra concert and just having absolutely no knowledge of the series whatsoever, and just like I'm thinking about like imagine the ending of Tar but with Nier.
Yeah,
That's what I'm sort of thinking about there now. Is just like somebody just with no knowledge of this world just coming in and having to sort of deal with it.
Oh my god.
Oh man, maybe they should have done that instead of Monster Hunter. Oh well, missed opportunity.
Well, my understanding is the director is or the writer is a huge Monster Hunter fan, so that was the motivation
Yeah.
for Tar.
It would have been good for Yoko Taro's mission to bring culture to the world to force like all the Nier heads to watch Tar.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, I wish I wish we could be talking right now about the lore implications of Nier and Tar.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So before we move on to Final Fantasy, the other thing I suppose I wanted to mention is our good friend Zed had been on to me about the mobile game, and they were saying just that like that also adds like a bunch of interesting lore stuff to it, that I didn't fully understand what they were talking about, but it sounded interesting. But yeah, again, like every single piece of media that is related to Nier has sort of something new to add to it, and is it's great that like even now, just everything that happens with it, Yoko Tara's like needs to take a hand and put something interesting into it for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 stage plays and like the world building books that you can buy that are full of like short stories and stuff.
So yeah, tell us about the Final Fantasy raid, Reese.
Boy. Okay, so the Final Fantasy raid is, I would say, absolutely fucking hated by the Final Fantasy 14 community. I'll get that out of the way. It's they're kind of long and complicated, so people hate getting them, and they're sort of done. They're random raid selections that you can do. Like the other ones will take like 15 minutes, and if people don't know the mechanics of some of them, you can be stuck in like the near ones for like 45 minutes, and people just like lose their fucking mind. They just want their little little stone that upgrades their sword. But the plot of it is I don't if you're not familiar with Final Fantasy 14, one of the playable races are called the Lalafels, which are like little baby monsters. And you in the world where the raid takes place, you've gone to an alternate parallel dimension that has a lot of the same stuff that's in the rest of Final Fantasy 14, but they all kind of have different names. And so in this one, there's the dwarves who act like regular dwarves in most fantasy, but they're supposed to be Lalafell analogs, and they've dug up like a 2B model. It seems at first, but she has black hair and wearing a white dress, and she sort of leads you through this kind of very in-depth, complicated lore analogs of the things that happens in Nier, but they're kind of like it's similar to Soul Calibur, where like the 2B does show up eventually, but she's not 2B. You fight 9S in the raid, but it's not it's some sort of clone or copy of 9S. And it doesn't have like a ton of lore implications, except that in the sort of like the upgrade token of the last raid, it has some confirmations that humanity, like every last vestige of humanity, is definitely destroyed.
Okay, so it confirms
the ending
that.
of Automata. Sorry?
It does confirm that, because that was something I always wondered about. Is like, yeah, it seemed to be heavily implied, and I was like, yeah, I wasn't sure if that was something that they ever actually confirmed. So yeah, that's fun.
It's confirmed. It seems to be confirmed by the breach coin, which is a very funny way of confirming it. But there people argue. They say, well, this is the Final Fantasy version, and in the Final Fantasy version, you've defeated. You went up and defeated God, so it's maybe not the case. But Yeah, it does. It is very funny though because it seems like Yoko Taro just didn't have any respect for the fact that it was an MMO, and was just like it seems like he's like the first thing he asked Yoshi P is like, so if you lose a raid, can we delete their character? And Yoshi P was like, no, we can't delete their character. You can't have a person fucking up one mechanic, kill everybody right at the beginning. I get it. It's funny dog, but you can't do that. And so he feels like he's like very openly like they didn't let me do what I wanted in these raids. They didn't let me make it crazy like I wanted. But I personally love the raids, and maybe because I'm less hardcore, because it has a lot of good arrangements and remixes of Nier songs, and they're very interesting, beautiful, and different takes on the Nier world, and it's sort of like the 2P, I believe her name is, betrays you and then 2B saves you. And so there's a lot that happens within the raid, but the implications are very fuzzy. So that's basically the experience, and we'll hear it in a couple of tracks. But yeah, I remember doing it the day it came out, and everybody losing their fucking minds because we kept dying. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever done in the game. So
Ridiculous.
that's the raid, everybody. That's the explanation behind the raid. Just absolutely fucking loathed by its fans. Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 14 fans also struggle to know happiness, so I wouldn't read too much into that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's pretty significant overview. I do find it interesting, just all the stuff in the Final Fantasy raids that sort of that
Could you repeat that? Yeah, I lost you there for a second.
I said no. I just find the Final Fantasy raid stuff so interesting. Just even outside of Nier, like the Final Fantasy Tactics one, I watched like a playthrough of that, and that was like that was just so much more normal than what you described. Like
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
they seem to be a lot more integrated for most of them, but Nier is like just sort of idiosyncratic because that's the way Nier is, which I do love.
The other thing about the Nier raid that I would like to point out before we get on to the tracks is that they very smartly released when you beat the raid was released in 3 parts over like a year or so, and in the first third of it, when you beat the last boss, you just got a container that let you dress up as 2B. You didn't have to grind it or anything.
Oh,
But one of the features of 2B's costume is that it added like 20% to the player character's ass, so you would have fuller ass cheeks in the game, and which remains true to this day. Which is funny because they have nerfed people's asses.
they have. I remember people being really mad about that.
Where they made people's asses flatter. So this is an ass buff, and I don't know, that is delightful. And in my transmog, I wear the 2B bottoms a lot of the time, so I can have a juicier ass.
You got to get the juicy ass. I mean, it is
I can
important.
guarantee that is a Yoko Taro special. He famously will like retweet horny fan art all the time and stuff.
Yeah, he's absolutely
respect
like, he's
it.
just like, if you're not gonna let me kill every single player and delete their account, you gotta let me give them good asses. And
Yeah.
Yoshi was like, fine.
A man of the people.
Thank you very much, Yoko Taro. All right, so yeah, we'll jump into the next block of tracks, which we have 2 tracks from Final Fantasy XIV. One is Weight of the World Prelude version by Keiichi Okabe, and obviously the Prelude by Nobuo Uematsu. And then we have The Sound of the End, which is by Masayoshi Soken and Keigo Hoashi. And then after that, I have 2 tracks from a Mellow Minstrel mix CDs that Square Enix has released several of, that are like nice little chill remixes of various Square Enix tracks. So first one is Keiichi Okabe, remixed by Mr. Shirai, and that's Weight of the World. And then another one, same by Keiichi Okabe and remixed by FDK, called City Runes Rays of Light. fan of those remix albums that they keep putting out. A lot of really good stuff. Definitely worth checking them out. I'll stick some links in the show notes for them.
Nice, nice. So, are there any lower implications with Nier's collaborations with Lo-Fi Girl? That's my point.
Not that I'm aware of, but I wouldn't put it
Okay.
past Yoko Taro.
Okay. I wouldn't put anything past Yoko Taro. That guy is stealing silverware.
Absolutely, yeah. I mentioned there with watching watching some of the raids, just sort of clicking through them to see. There's like those giant robots are so cool, and it sort of brings me back again to when I played that first demo of Nier Automata, and just you fight the giant robot that's at the start of that opening sequence, and it's just like, it's one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen in a game at that time.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so massive and you're just so small compared to it. It's such a cool sequence, and I like that it keeps coming back in the game as well. You're constantly having to fight these absolutely massive robots. And you're just a tiny little person. I mean, obviously you're an android, but like, just the sense of scale is just absolutely wild.
The Alliance raids in Final Fantasy XIV as well are, I think, super compelling, because they're in the rest of the stuff, the group content that you do in Final Fantasy is usually either 4 people or 8 people, and they're sort of very narrow, kind of short experiences, either one boss or kind of like a quick dungeon type of thing. And the Alliance raids are 24 people, and each one kind of has an extended epic journey to match it. Like, there's one with sky pirates, and you're going through these different like cloud fights and stuff like that. The last expansion, sort of like the gods of the world wanted to reward you for everything that you've done. So they have like a great celebration in your honor. That's like a gladiatorial fight with all of them. And so it always has like lore implications that are not super relevant to the main story quest stuff, but always very like this incredible grand side stuff. And I think Nier fits in that very well, despite the fact that the sticks in the mud of the player base hate it with every fiber of their fucking being.
Yeah. I don't think like Yoko Taro as a director, as a creative force, I don't think he could get on with most players like that. Like, he likes to fuck with people, so it's just like people enjoying it would probably be the worst thing that he would ever want. Like, he would just be like, no, I can't have people enjoying this.
I was reading on Reddit that of people being very annoyed because he did a ask me anything, and he just like ignored the top 15 questions to talk about what he wanted, and just like only talked about the raid a little bit, and also talked about wanting to work on Final Fantasy 16 as a scenario writer. And Yoshi P being like, "Dog, we're about to release Final Fantasy 16. We're done. We can't work for Final Fantasy 15." And he says, "It's like, oh, whatever, fine." He's very
incredible.
Fun. It's great.
Yeah, I always enjoy his idea for Monster Hunter as well. Just making it a lot more realistic, I suppose. I'll have to track down that text of him describing how he'd do Monster Hunter, because it's a bit nutty. But I suppose, speaking again of Taro, I have to shout out Cavia, the company that made the original Drakengard and the first Nier game. Because like they made some really, really interesting games that I really, really liked. A lot of garbage was made as well, sadly, but like they did the Drakengard games, and sugar, what's it called? sure, I can't even remember the name of it now. Bullet Witch, which is like one of those early Xbox 360 games that like really felt like it was just a holdover from a PS2, and like plays like shit and is kind of terrible, but also just I put so much time into it for some reason. It's just one of those games that just really appealed to me in those early Xbox 360 days. Oh yeah, there's the Rise.
Yeah,
Rich just posted it in the chat.
The Monster Hunter Rise thing, which is just all about you have to choose which twin to kill. The Dangle girl or the Buddy Plaza kid dies. The one who doesn't falls into darkness and sets fire to Khmer village. And then at the very end of these long, very depressing points, after clearing all of the village quests, the village is left asunder. You can only play online multiplayer. The players who have lost everything can only go on killing monsters in this cold and barren world. Title of the game is shown.
Beautiful.
What a king.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So that's Nier, I suppose. A lot to talk about, but also just like it's very hard to talk about in concrete terms, just because like the plot is so sort of all over the place, and so much of it is very what's the word, like conceptual, rather than being like concrete, and events are sort of like they're not clear whether they have any real meaning, or whether they just happen, which is sort of the whole vibe of the game in general, I think. So it's I feel like it's very hard to talk about unless you're sort of going like plot beat by plot beat through the whole game. But yeah, any final thoughts before we go to the last block of tracks?
Well, I think it's interesting because yes, it is very dense and hard to like fully grasp what's going on, but like I don't think the emotional resonance really suffers from that.
No, not in the
Like
slightest.
it still hits you like a freight train at the end of ending E, no matter if you fully understand what is really happening in that moment, because like they force you to make choices, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and that actually just even thinking of that, like one thing that sort of I always really fascinates me about the game when I'm just running around, is the whole thing where randomly she will just trip as you're running, and it's like it's such a weird thing. It's like, why would you put that in there? But it also just again reinforces this idea of like her being not natural, not connected to a natural world. So like when you're running around, just like the idea that she like this character that is so graceful and so like and can move just so precisely, when encounters like an organic world, like just trips on a branch or whatever, because she's not designed for that kind of movement. And I find that just so fascinating, just like those little details that they put into the world building and into the character, and like again every time it happens I'm just like, oh, that's so cool, and it doesn't need to be there, but it is there. And again, like it's whether you understand these things or not, I think the game is constantly pushing emotional truths at you that are like that will resonate with you regardless of you fully understanding them.
Absolutely. Sorry, Illi?
No, go ahead.
No, well, I'm gonna go to a much worse place. So, I remember one of my favorite video game controversies is when the game was about to be released. Somebody photoshopped a butthole on 2B. And people were losing their minds thinking it was actually in the game. and I don't think Yoko Taro came out and corrected it either. I think he was just like, yeah, maybe there's a butthole in the game. Who's to say? Yeah, unfortunately, you have to mod in the butthole, but still, it's very funny. And as a depraved gooner, you know that's why I like Nier, for the most base reason possible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is part of the appeal of Nier as well. Is that like, despite all the pretensions, sometimes it's nice to just look at a hot babe.
It's also
Uh,
when you look at like the merch, it's like a million statues
Mm.
mhm.
for a game that's
Where
like,
she's doing the Jacko pose, yeah.
yeah, it's like a game that really goes into like deep philosophical questions, but also like 90% of the merch is just like hot babes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's great. Boyne, any final thoughts about your experience with the game?
Uh, God, I gotta play it again. That's the major one. Yeah, I was really wondering if we were gonna cover the gooning. It sounds like yes. I didn't
I
know
mean,
about the butthole though.
I wasn't aware of the
I
butthole either, no, but that's fascinating, yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's the only place my brain is at now. So I'm excited to vibe to the rest of these songs and forget the gooning. The songs help forget.
Yeah, it certainly heals the divide between the gooners and the non-gooners in the audience.
100%.
It's
I
one of
mean,
those games that brings us all together.
absolutely. I mean, I remember, you know, Yoko Taro being at some convention, and they're just like somebody posting is just like Yoko Taro is signing an insane number of breasts today from 2B cosplayers, and so it's part of the legacy. And thank you, Yoko.
Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll jump into this last block of tracks. So I have three more from Nier Automata. I've got Forest Kingdom by Keigo Hoashi, End of the Unknown by Keiichi Okabe, and again by Keigo Hoashi, I have Copied City. Lovely stuff.
Great.
Yeah, the Forest Kingdom one, I just the tuned percussion in that one just always really just draws me in. It's so good, just like the way it all sort of layers on top of each other, and then like the vocals on top again are just absolutely fucking great. The you mentioned that is a bit of a weird area in the game as well. Yeah, it's like you come across it and there's like guys dressed as knights, like robots dressed as knights and shit like that. Again, and it's just more of this sort of thing of like the robots sort of copying what they see of humans, without really fully understanding why they're copying it, but just going along with it anyway. Which is, you know, again, a very strong theme within the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, very, very charming and understandable as well. You know, I just, you know, imagine so much of history as we know it and people doing like reenactments and stuff would look like,
Yeah.
you know, robots reenacting things that they don't understand to people from that era. So,
yeah. Like one of the earliest things I suppose you run across in the game is like you get into that weird room where they make Adam and Eve, in all the robots just banging each other, like literally just like humping each other in the room, and again just like repeating stuff that they see humans do or that they understand humans to have done without really knowing. But then in this instance, then it actually ended up with the result of creating life, which is sort of a funny sort of cosmic joke, I guess.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and then like I like when we were listening to the track where you fight Adam and Eve, I can't believe we just completely even forgot about those characters, because again, this game is so dense. There's so much to it. Like just that these characters show up quite early on, and then just sort of leave as it almost feels like a bit of a joke where these characters feel really important to start with, because there seems to be significance, and they're like in the end they're just like peace out. And I don't know again if they might come back towards the ending to provide something, but again I haven't gotten that far myself.
Yeah, they're kind of the antagonists in like Route A and B, and then it's onto better things.
Yeah,
So they just don't show up at the end. That's funny.
that is funny. Okay, excellent stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll finish up there because now we're running over 2 hours here now recording. So yeah. I suppose we've got our final thoughts, but if you have anything you want to plug, Illy, or if you just want people to find you online, now's your chance to do all that.
I have nothing to plug. I have a blue sky at Illy0815, and I sometimes will like posts that I find funny.
Excellent. That could be worse ways to be online. Boin, have you anything you got going on at the moment?
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. You've posted it before. I appreciate that. I'm streaming on Twitch, Pajama Boin. Mostly programming, not a lot of video games. And that's about it.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
if you need to know anything about OS dev or Linux, pop on by Boin's channel, and she will educate you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Reese, what you got going on at the moment?
I got the same shit I always
Same
got.
shit
Check
as
out video
always.
games are the worst thing on earth. Check out Existential Warfare. But above all, check out Boin's stream. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. As for ourselves, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CRT Sound System. We've got a Discord if you want to come hang out in the Discord. If you want me to do an episode, again, like with Illy, if you bring up an episode and I don't have anybody planned for it, you're being roped in to do the episode, so just FYI. Other than that, you can find all our socials on our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/CRT Sound System. Leave us a review on wherever you listen to this. I'm sure that'll help people find it. And so thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for joining us, Illy and Boin. We're going to leave you with the last track, which is just by Keiichi Okabe, and it's called Weight of the World. Good night, everyone.
界の歌そう僕らは今あ無意味でも願うただ君との未来をそう僕らは